Well, Wales tried their best, but we were doing so well. Now listen now, I don't want any of this negativity for Whistle Watch. No, you're absolutely right. Let's give Whistle Watchers the show they deserve. Hello and welcome back to Whistle Watch. Hey, what an exciting weekend of rugby. There's been plenty to talk about as well. I'll be concentrating on Ireland's potential penalty try, and to finish off as well, I'll pick you my stars of the weekend, and there's a few of them to pick from. Now, before I get carried away with the weekend's actions, let's go to your Emirates fans' questions. Now, if you're like me, or like us, and enjoy a bit of tennis, then you would have been watching a bit of Wimbledon. And Graham Simmons, good old Graham Simmons. I haven't seen you for years, Graham. I hope you're keeping well. And Graham's tweeted, if someone could make it happen, I'd love to see Kyrgios play a match umpired by Nigel Owens. Might not last long, but it'd be fun. Graham, you were right. I am doubt if he'd make it through the first or past the first set with his behaviour. Does it hurt when getting tackled? Well, listen, that's why I went to referee, because I didn't like getting tackled. But I did get tackled once. It was South Africa, New Zealand, funnily enough, in 2010, out in Soccer City in Soweto. It was my fault. Jimmy Cowan breaks away from the maul. I'm in the wrong position. So Juwan Smith sort of nudges me out of the way to try to get at Jimmy Cowan. And as he does so, he pushes me into the path of Jimmy Cowan. And who comes to tackle Jimmy Cowan is probably one of the most ferocious tacklers of the game, Sharkburger. So Sharkburger tackled me and Jimmy Cowan at the same time. I land up at the bottom of a ruck. Have a look at it. It's on YouTube. It hurt. Christian Bota asks, Nigel Ref Owens, hope I may pose this question here for Whistle Watch. Is it unlawful to knock the ball out of the scrum half's hands after he's picked the ball up? Thank you. Now then, Christian, no it's not, as long as you're onside. So, for example, imagine you're defending the ruck. Once the ball is off the ground or in the scrum half's hands, as long as you're onside. So if you are standing in an offside position, then that is the first offence. But if you're onside, you can then go and tackle the scrum half, or as well, you can try and knock that ball backwards. Now, I know a lot of you are sending questions about the games on the weekends. We're going to cover them now in Whistle Watch. Now then, big talking point of the New Zealand-Ireland game. Scott Barrett's shoulder charge on Peter O'Mahony. Should it have been a red card? I think it should have been. Now then, you don't want to see this type of action. Scott Barrett goes in, clearly leading with the shoulder into the head neck area of Peter O'Mahony. Let's clear one thing up here. If an act of foul play is felt to be reckless or dangerous enough to warrant a red card, it doesn't matter in what part of the body a contact is. So here, illegal shoulder charge right into this area here. To me, that is dangerous and warrants a red card itself. So, for me, Scott Barrett should have been red carded for this action. We don't want to see this type of play in the game. It's dangerous. Let's get it out of the game. Now then, Ireland's no try. Very unlucky not to get the ball down here. Referee, quite rightly so, judging with his TMO that they lost control. There was no downward pressure. They lost control of the ball on the grounding. Quite rightly so. No try. Ball lost forward. Now, the question then came, were the actions of the tackler high? I've seen penalties given for this. I'm not a big fan. For me, a high tackle is when you're making contact with the head or the neck. Here, the hand is on the shoulder and then lands up on the back. There is no contact with the neck. And even if it does slightly touch the side of the neck, to me, this is not a high tackle. So the referee, quite rightly so, deems this not to be a high tackle. Therefore, no need to look at if a try would have probably been scored. Did his actions prevent the try from being scored, which then may well have resulted in a penalty try and a yellow card? On this incident here, the referee, I feel, is correct. No try and no illegal tackle. Two big talking points from the Wales-South Africa game. And what a game it was. Excitement right till the very, very end. Rees-zammit, yellow card. Harsh or not? Not as a Welshman, but as a referee, or maybe an ex-referee, yes, for me, a bit harsh. So what do you want a player? A player does a defending tackle. What he needs to do? He needs to release the player on the ground. He needs to get up on his feet on the right side, so behind the ball and the ball carrier with his back towards his own try line, and then on his feet to play the ball. So for me here, this is textbook defending by rees-zammit. Great tackle, releases, gets to his feet. So you have a clear release and then he gets on the ball legally on his feet. So this to me is a very, very harsh penalty, let alone yellow card against rees-zammit. For me, this was textbook defending and should have been play on. Let's go on to the next point in the game, right at the very end. Dan Biggar, deliberate knock on or not? Now then, as Dan Biggar mentioned, he feels it was a bit harsh because he didn't deliberately knock the ball on. But if you put your hand out to try and prevent the pass, or to just let it hang in there to try and stop the ball going from to another player, if you are not in a realistic position to gather that ball, which means you're not trying to attempt to catch it, then it will be deemed to be a deliberate knock on. So even though it was a big call to make, the referee made the right call here in my view, and the penalty was correctly awarded, because you can't leave your hand out like that and try and prevent the pass. Let's now move on to my stars of the weekend. Well, let's start off and focus on Ardie Savea of New Zealand. Oh, what a player. Turned things around for New Zealand on the weekend. 17 tackles, 2 tries. What a performance by him. He certainly was one of the stars of the weekend. Now then, I said last week, one to watch for Wales, rees-zammit. Oh, what a performance. 2 tries, and as we talked about earlier, very, very unlucky to get that yellow card. Pity he didn't get the ball more as a Welshman. Could have scored maybe a couple more tries. He is going to be hugely important for Wales in the next couple of tests if they want to sneak a win out there in South Africa. Now then, what about Henry Arendelle from England? What a debut for him. What a try. Beating 3 Australian defenders to score a wonderful try for England. He certainly is a star of the future to watch out. Congratulations on your first debut and a wonderful try as well. And what about Noah Lysio from Australia? Quade Cooper, of course, the hugely talented Quade Cooper getting injured in the warm-up, and then Noah starting the game instead of him. What a performance he did. Only 22 years of age, converted 3 kicks and helped steer a 14-man Australia to a victory over England. Yes, he did get yellow carded on the 80th minute, but he still deserves a special mention. Well, sadly, that's it for Whistle Watch this week, but don't worry, I will be back next week catching up with, I'm sure, another huge, exciting weekend of rugby. Keep your Emirates fans questions coming in. I'll see you then.